Morning. Let me start by recognizing the significant economic challenges that the country and the Ghanaian people are facing these days. It is against this backdrop that the authorities requested an IMF-supported program in early July. We have since then been engaging very closely, and I am extremely pleased to announce that the IMF has reached a staff-level agreement with Ghana on a 3-year program that will be supported by an arrangement under the extended credit facility and in an amount of about $3 billion. Let me add that the agreement is subject to approval by the IMF management as well as the IMF Executive Board in the period ahead, contingent on receiving financing assurances from Ghana's partners and creditors. The Ghanaian authorities have committed to a wide-ranging economic reform program which builds on the government's post-COVID-19 program for economic growth, the PCPEG, and a program that tackles the deep challenges facing the country. Before we take your questions, I'd like to highlight some of the key elements of the program. It includes reforms to ensure the sustainability of public finances. And to do so, the government will implement policies that lead to a reduction in the fiscal deficit by enhancing domestic revenue mobilization and by streamlining spending. The government also announced a comprehensive debt restructuring. The program will also include reforms to strengthen fiscal transparency and public financial management, improve the management of public enterprises, bolster governance, and tackle structural changes in the energy and cocoa sectors. Reducing inflation, preserving financial stability, enhancing the resilience to external shocks, improving market confidence are all also very important program priorities. Importantly, the program will seek to protect the most vulnerable and create space for growth-enhancing measures and social spending. Finally, the government is taking steps to promote private sector investment and job creation. Before I turn to the Honorable Minister, I'd like to thank him and the Bank of Ghana Governor Addison and their teams, many of whom are represented here today, as well as representatives from the various government agencies we have interacted with. I'd also like to thank Parliament's Finance Committee and all the private sector, trade union, civil society representatives we have been engaging with over the past 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Now we turn it over to Minister Ofori-Atta.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, thank you very much. And Stefan, thank you indeed. Minister Elsie, thank you. So let's really first thank God for providing the needed guidance to the government and the fund to get us where we are today. I'd like to thank the President and the Vice President for their leadership and direction and encouragement through this period. Let me also, why is the mic favoring the IMF? Thank you, Stefan. But let me truly express appreciation to the IMF in general, and in particular to the IMF Managing Director and Management, Stefan, IMF Mission Chief to Ghana, Leo Medini, and the indomitable spirit of the team that's been with us throughout. Because their commitment to Ghana during these challenging times it's really been heartwarming. And truly, I thank you for your leadership, Stefan. In addition, I also like to express deep appreciation to key stakeholders. Stefan mentioned a few of them, including Cabinet, Parliament, the faith-based organizations, the CSOs, members of academia, for their invaluable contribution to the preparation of the post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, the PCPEC, which has underpinned the IMF program negotiations. And last but not the least, express my sincere Program for Economic Growth, the PCPEC, which has underpinned the IMF program negotiations. And last but not the least, express my sincere appreciation to Governor Addison and the leadership of Elsie and Maxwell and the team that works with them. It's been a collaboration that truly, I think all of our staff have appreciated what we can do when we speak the same language and work, in the same direction. Sacrifice during this period, and the entire process has been really ennobling in a sense. So to give you a bit of a context, a lot of work indeed has gone on behind the scenes for, I guess, 5 to 6 months when government formally announced its intention to engage the fund for a supported program to enable us to reach a staff-level agreement before year end, which looked like an impossible task. Because as Stefan mentioned, these are really grave times in a very difficult economic environment. But this now, today, paves the way for the IMF's management and executive board to approve Ghana's program request early, hopefully, next year. Since the announcement on 1st July 2022 to formally engage IMF for an IMF-supported program, there have been 3 rounds of negotiations with the IMF interspersed with a number of virtual meetings in between to ensure both the government of Ghana and the IMF teams worked around the clock to get the SLA by end December 2022. In fact, I think Stefan and I talked about it, that it wasn't a mission visit per se, because the mission was on from July 1st to now. And that really, thank you guys for that commitment. Against the backdrop of the staff programs, let's be clear that we are, Ghana, indeed blessed to conclude this SLA within this period. So in recent times, this is quite historic in terms of the speed in which we have come to this. And if we look also at the path that Zambia, Chad, and Ethiopia have gone to, we can see that this is quite a miracle in its making, and really to thank the fund for the commitment and dedication that have come through this. So the government and IMF teams, have really sacrificed to be here, and the team behind all of this, the staff, once again, at BoG and the staff at the Ministry of Finance under the leadership of Patrick Nomo has been phenomenal, and we thank them for this. Key to this has also been our 2 deputies, Abner and John, and also Charles, who left us. Just lots of work has gone into this. So the key deliverables over the period include the preparation of the PCPEC program, a medium-term macroeconomic framework, debt sustainability analysis and debt management strategy, structural reforms to address structural bottlenecks, improve competitiveness and promote efficiency and effectiveness, a memorandum of economic and financial policies, and an agreement on prior actions which are expected to be completed before the fund goes to the board. All of this indicate that Ghana stands ready to complete all the prior actions before this is successfully done, certainly within the first quarter of next year, looking at the end of January, if we can push it as we have done this one. So we are committed to the program as a whole, and we will do our part to make it happen. The SLA is only one aspect of the approval process. More is yet to be done to secure IMF management and board approval, and that is what we, all of us as Ghanaians, should work to ensure that we go through. Key fiscal measures, structural reforms, and the medium-term macro-fiscal framework in the 2023 budget are aligned with the IMF-supported program. It is therefore crucial that we receive support from all stakeholders, especially Parliament, to ensure that the 2023 budget, including all revenue measures, are passed and not return to last year's experience that we had. And the creditors also to ensure a successful debt operation. So even as we engage the domestic in the exchange, we'll be looking for our discussions with the bilateral partners and also with our bond investors. And we expect to get through that so that we'll conclude with the fund and the board. Truly, the eventual conclusion of the program will assist us in our efforts to restore stability, tackle inflation, and strengthen our currency. That is why the various ingredients of the program should be supported by all Ghanaians and all stakeholders. We can only get to the IMF board if we get sufficient commitment from our creditors in support of the debt operation. The 2023 budget is anchored on increasing domestic revenue mobilization effort by 1.2 percentage points of DGP. On the expenditure side, the 2023 budget proposes to reduce expenditures on commitment basis by about 2 percentage points of GDP from 2022 to 2023. Primary expenditures are expected to reduce through a reduction in allocation on the use of goods and services and domestically financed capital expenditure on a commitment basis. These fiscal adjustments alone are not enough to address the country's economic challenges, hence the ongoing debt restructuring aimed at restoring debt sustainability in the medium term. The 2023 budget contains important social protection measures to support the most vulnerable, including measures that seek to gradually increase the number of beneficiary households as well as the value cash transfers under the LEAP. Other social protection programs which will be prioritized under the programs include the NHIS, the capitation grant, and the school feeding program. A key part, as Stefan mentioned, is also private sector engagement. As we look through austerity and ensure that we have social protection, the drive for growth should not be forgotten, and the PCPEC is key to that. We are optimistic that the 2023 budget adjustment strikes the right balance between determination and pragmatism. Already the economy is responding positively to the news of Government of Ghana and the IMF reaching an SLA, and we are eager to leverage this momentum at the very moment when the IMF Executive Board approves the program request. We're already seeing significant improvement in the exchange rate, with the Ghana cedi recovering against major currencies. We are confident as a resilient people that we shall rally to support this great enterprise to restore macroeconomic stability and promote robust and inclusive growth. The world is looking at us, and I know that we can do it. So indeed, to God be the glory for these great things He have done within 5 months. I'm certain that He who began the good work will continue until it is finally finished. And greater things I believe He will do. And let us all gather the harvest with joy. These indeed are both times for a Joseph recovery and also a Nehemiah rebuilding. Let's continue with courage, a spirit of love for each other, and self-discipline to go through this program. Thank you, and may God bless our nation, Ghana.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. So now we'll move to taking your questions. We have colleagues joining us online as well. So I'll take some questions from the room and some online as well. So where's the microphone? So I'll call first 3 people to come to the microphone. So you, lady there, Cooper, and then you. Yes. So first 3, please to the microphone. Please state your name, affiliation, and please keep it to 1 question so that we can take more questions. Please try and keep it to 1 question. Name and affiliation, please. Thanks.
My name is Nanoye. I work with Asasi Radio. It took 5 months to get to this level. When should we anticipate that the board will... Okay, anyways. Okay. All right. My name is Nanoye Ankra. I work with Asasi Radio. It took 5 months for us to get to this level. When should we anticipate that the board will approve this deal? And I want to know how long it would take after that for the money to hit Ghana's account. I wish I had an opportunity for another question.
All right. Thank you very much.
So, hello. My name is Joshua from the Business and Financial Times. I want to find out how concerned is the fund with regards to resistance that which the domestic debt exchange has faced currently, and how critical is it in terms of the approval from the management and the executive board? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joshua.
Hi, Cooper Inveen from Reuters. Could we get a firmer date on when we might expect a external debt restructuring? Thanks.
All right, thank you. So we have a question on how long it will take for the board to approve, when to expect an approval and the money to hit the account, when to expect external restructuring, and then whether Ghana is concerned about, whether the IMF is concerned about how the debt restructuring is going. So maybe, Stefan, you can take the 2 questions about when to expect an approval and the debt restructuring.
Thank you. So let me tackle first the first question on in terms of the board the timeline for consideration by our executive board of Ghana's program request. As I mentioned at the beginning in my introductory remarks, what is necessary for us to be able to present that program request to the board is assurances from Ghana's partners and Ghana's creditors that one, the program is fully financed. In other words, the financial support that will be provided to the authorities during the program period is sufficient to finance the program. And 2, that the program taken together, the fiscal consolidation path, the comprehensive debt restructuring that the authorities have launched will be sufficient to reestablish debt sustainability. And so as soon as we have assurances from creditors that this will be the case, when sufficient progress on that front, we will be able to present the program to our board. And as to the follow-up question that you had on when the money would hit Ghana's accounts, that would happen very, very shortly after the program has been approved by the board. There were a couple of questions on that issue, so maybe I can just say a couple of words before I turn to the Honorable Minister regarding the issues related to the debt restructuring. I would like just to clarify a few issues. What is very important for the IMF is that the government strategy as a whole be sufficient to put debt on a sustainable path and to bring debt sustainability over the medium term. This is really the overarching goal of one of the overarching goals of the program. Now, when it comes to the specifics of the government's debt restructuring strategy, when it comes to, for example, the perimeter of the debt restructuring, which debt would be included or not included, when it comes to the parameters of the debt restructuring, in other words, what type of relief would be sought from one type of creditors or another, and when it comes to engagement between the government and the creditors, all of that are very much sovereign decisions, and they are very much for the government to decide on in collaboration with their financial and legal advisors.
Thanks, Stefan. Minister, do you want to take the question on external debt?
Yeah, thank you. Stefan leaves the difficult questions, but at least I've learned two things: the parameters, and then what will be the third one? So yes, I mean, I think the parameters are clear to us with regards to where the landing zone should be, and those are the bookends that we are talking about: 55% debt to GDP, and then 18%. 18% external debt service over revenue. So those become the bookends that we work with, and within there will then be the parameters as we have outlined in our domestic exchange program, and therefore also continuing with that with the externals. We hope that, we've been having discussions, but maybe formalized discussions going through beginning this week also. So that's a trajectory that we are looking at. But I think for all of these three partners with the debt operations, is really the lift that we have of this SLA, and therefore all of us doing our part to make sure that this confidence is built on, and we move on to create the macro stability, and that would then ensure that we all participate in a much stronger Ghana. So yes, the challenges that we'll have, we're going to have challenges with the parameters that we unfold for each of these groupings, and the issue for all of us is a commitment to end this crisis in a way, and so we'll have I expect that we'll have positive discussions, and as always move to a solution that would ensure that we remain within the landing zone that has been ascribed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'll take another round of questions. Gentleman in the back there. Sorry. And then a gentleman here. Let's pick somebody from the middle. Anybody in the middle there? And I see George as well, please. Please state your name, your affiliation, and please keep it to one question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. I work with Media General. My question is to Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Looking at the agitations emerging since the announcement of the debt exchange program, are you in any way considering any sort of adjustment in the program, and what will be the implication? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it should come down. Okay. Thank you. The question goes to the Honorable Minister.
Can you state your name?
My name is Nana Poku from Daily Searchlight. Sorry.
Okay. Please keep it to one question.
Okay, one question, yeah. Honorable Minister, yesterday the TUC had a press conference, and they did indicate that they are not going to ascribe or subscribe to, one, the pension funds mustn't be touched by government whatsoever. Two, that they don't also want to hear anything about freezing of employment in the public sector, because they think that that will not inure to the benefit of their members. And then three, they said the tax regime that they want to implement is not in their favor because it will impoverish the workers. And they also say that some of the conditionalities of the IMF are so inimical. How would you react to such a statement from the TUC? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, we'll take you, and then we'll take George as well.
Good morning. Please, my name is Akonobo Nana Boadu, and I'm with Movement Television, an affiliate of Unti Multimedia. Please, my question goes to the Finance Minister. There's this perception coming from Ghanaians that some government policies are going to scrap off with IMF implementation, especially to that of the free education policy. I want to know from the finance minister, how possible is this going to?
All right, thank you. One last question.
My name is George Rafi from Multimedia Group Joy FM. And just to get back to your statement, there's a portion that says that to support the objective of restoring public debt sustainability, authorities have announced a comprehensive debt restructuring. Sufficient assurances and progress on this front to be needed before the proposed fund-supported program is presented to the board. On the issue about the debt discussions, Minister, you've been a little bit silent on the Paris Club. Are you going to get a debt cancellation or what? And are you sure that from now till the end of the first quarter, you can close the page or the book when it comes to reaching a deal with both your external partners and the Paris Club? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Minister, it looks like this round of questions are for you. I just want to add one more, which we received online from DebtWire, which asks that, will Ghana use the common framework to conduct debt restructuring? Thank you.
I don't know. I now begin to understand why Kwabna wanted to manage this so that all the questions will be moved away from the fund to me. But thank you very much for these questions. The debt exchange program, adjustments and implications for that. I think we know what I talked about, the landing zone or the bookends. So it's within that framework that any accommodations will have to be made. So yes, we are certainly listening. We've had a lot of engagements and will continue with the unions, and really also all of us asking ourselves whether an orderly process to where we want to go is what we all seek, and within that, what sacrifices and burden sharing that we have. I think part of the assurance is that by the time we conclude signing with the fund, there will be some issues of reforms and expenditure management, which all of us in Ghana are keen to. So that would bind us going forward to bring the type of confidence and assurances that we need for that. With regards to the trade union, the TUC, I think it's not a very surprising position because it is, all of these things are shocks that we need to analyze and then make determinations as to how best to move forward as a nation. But we've been able to do literally the impossible in this difficult environment, to be signing an SLA at this point. So let's look at the opportunity that offers us, and within that context, see how we can save the funds that we have in terms of pension funds, etc. Because a destabilized macro environment is the greatest enemy to the value of our pensions. And I think that's what we need to juxtapose and then come to some conclusions. So sort of segueing into George's question, we have been able to do this in 5 months. I think at the beginning, the same questions were asked whether we'll be able to get to an SLA before year end. But I think with the spirit of this team and what we are doing, we will go into the discussions with the debt operation with the same fervor, understanding, and I believe we will get there to get the board approval. Common framework, as we all know, has been plagued with a lot of difficulties, and I think the Paris Club, everybody has learned from it. So yes, we've been engaging, and we need to figure out how to ensure that if there's a platform that has to be used, then we need assurances of speed and to expedite the clarity of what we have to do that. else, let's design an alternative which will make sure that we don't derail this momentum that we have built. So that is how we looked at it. The issue of various programs, including free education, I think if you listen to Stefan, there was a clarity of the issue of preservation and enhancing actually social interventions, and free education falls within that. I think we are doing a review to look at efficiencies of all of these programs, and that has already kicked off. And as we then continue, we'll make sure that these are run efficiently. I mean, free education, the issue of human capital is something that, I think the government of President Akufo-Addo is completely committed to and clear about that, because that always remains our future and also ensures social mobility for every Ghanaian. The sense of citizenhood is important. So yes, we can make it more efficient. I think within the 5-6 years that we've been here, we saw sort of average results move from 45% to 50%, and this year we had an average of 60%, which was just phenomenal. So the resources are being deployed to some 1.4 million people, which secures our future, and there's nothing better than that. So I'm not sure anybody should worry about that going forward. Thank you very much indeed. I hope I covered all.
Yes, indeed. So I would now take some questions online, and then I'll come back to the room. We've received questions from Gabriel Steinhauser, Wall Street Journal, and then Laura from Debt Wire. Gabriel wants to know from Stefan, what's your assessment of the maximum debt service, maximum ratio of debt service of revenue Ghana can carry? And then also wants to know whether Ghana's plan, or it's been muted that Ghana wants to pursue a 30% haircut on dollar-denominated debt. Is that in line with the fund's assessment of debt sustainability? And does it take into account structural reforms which are part of the program? And then Laura also wants to know whether the 55% debt to GDP and the 18% debt service will be after the program or is within the program period. Thank you.
Thank you. So still quite a few questions on debt issues. I think maybe to step back and to explain a little bit under what framework we are working and what has guided our discussions and what has guided also the government's goals when it comes to re-establishing debt sustainability over the medium term. We are working within the framework of what we call the IMF and World Bank low-income country debt sustainability framework. This is what has been used over the years to assess debt sustainability in Ghana, but also lots of other member countries of the IMF. And in the case of Ghana, as the minister mentioned, but also, in fact, His Excellency the President, just a few weeks ago when he addressed the nation and talked about these debt objectives, two of the key ratios that we feel would be consistent with re-establishing debt sustainability are this 55% NPV of total debt to GDP and this 18% of external debt service to revenue. So just to respond to the first question on the debt service, a level of debt service that is consistent with sustainability, this is the 18% that we are looking at. Then there is a question about the time frame or the horizon that we have in mind. So this is not something that could possibly be achieved immediately at the time of program approval. What the government is seeking to achieve is to put debt and public finances on a path so as to achieve these objectives over the medium term. So not immediately, but over the medium term. Did I respond to all questions? No, there was also the question about the speculations in the press as to the haircuts on external debt. I would just go back to refer you again to what I mentioned in my the response to a previous question. Anything that has to do with the perimeter of the debt restructuring, of the government's debt restructuring strategy, the specific parameters and interactions with the various groups of creditors and the government, all of these are really sovereign decisions, and for the government to decide on in collaboration with their advisors.
Thank you, Stefan. We'll take another round of questions. So let me start from there, gentleman there. Somebody from the middle, lady in the back, orange. And then on the far right. Thank you. Please limit it to one question. As usual, your name, your affiliation, one question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Adam Kujo. I work with Star FM here in Accra. So this is to the IMF. In your statement, you said you were going to employ a strong reform program that aims at restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. We've seen a lot of focus on the debt sustainability. When it comes to the micro, there's been a lot of conversation about how much we need to make some expenditure cuts to our budget. My question to the IMF fund is that, looking at government's budget, are you satisfied with the level of cuts? And do you think that some more cuts needs to be done to ensure that we have that macroeconomic stability? And a quick one, please. This will be like the 17th or 18th time the countries come to the fund, and we see we are putting in reforms that will make sure that we have a robust economy. What different thing is happening now to ensure that Ghana will not have to come back here in the next 3 or 4 years seeking some relief from the fund? Thank you.
Thank you. Next questioner. Please keep it to one question.
My name is Stella J. Jom Sugli. I work with Ghana Web. And so my question will have to do with the revenue measures that the government is putting in place to at least hold up before the IMF funding is secured. Because last year we were told that the e-levy was going to generate a lot of revenue, but it faced a lot of resistances, and then it was not able to meet the proposed target. So as the VAT that government introduced into the 2023 budget is being debated in Parliament and all of that, how is government going to hold up until we receive funding from the IMF? And a quick one. So there's data that government would have to pay about 3.5 billion in loan repayments and interest in the coming year. And that's a bit higher than the money we are expecting from the IMF. How is government going to be able to do all of that? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Francis Into. I write for the Ghana News Agency. Since the announcement of the engagement with the IMF, one thing that's come out is that individuals are going to be exempted from any debt sustainability. On the grounds, people are really not receiving the funds that are due them. The government has given numerous assurances that their funds are not going to be touched, but people are getting their funds being touched by various financial institutions. Beyond the assurances, what is the government doing to ensure that people really get their investment returns? Thank you.
All right, thank you. One last question.
Thank you very much. My name is Akko. I report for Bloomberg. Honorable, your Financial Stability Fund is estimated at 15 billion cedis. That is just a little over $1 billion. And it doesn't seem substantial enough. Do you plan further support on that? And do you think that if we were to up it, you may get a bit more buy-in from debt holders? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. So we basically have two sets of questions. So Stefan, if you could take the questions on the budget and also revenue measures in the program. And I will defer to Minister Oforiatta and perhaps Deputy Governor on the questions of the Financial Stability Fund and then also individual investors. Thanks.
Thank you. So I will start with the revenue questions, and I'd say that raising revenues and increasing domestic revenue mobilization is really a key objective of the program, but it's really a key objective of the government's program. And the reason why it's very important for the government to do that is first to underpin debt sustainability going forward, to have a stronger revenue base to be able to service the debt. Two, it is also very important to generate space in the budget going forward over the medium term for increased expenditure that are very important for growth and for social spending. So all of these are key objectives of the program, to create space for this type of very, very important spending over time. Now, when it comes to the budget that has been submitted to Parliament, we were asked about our assessment. Our assessment is pretty much in line with what the Honourable Minister mentioned at the beginning. This is in our view, a very important and very good first step towards the efforts that the government is making in trying to re-establish debt sustainability. And as far as the revenue measures are concerned, of course, they are consistent with that objective that I mentioned at the beginning of having the program underpinned by this significant revenue mobilization effort.
Thank you very much, Stefan. I think that going from Carl's question, the financial stability fund, the challenge for most of these funds is to engender confidence, and once you do have the confidence as to where we are going, you don't have people dependent on that fund. But certainly we will stand ready to enhance it as and when it is necessary. But my expectation is that from hence, with the signing of the SLA, we should all kind of rest assured that we are on a path that we can depend on, and therefore the issue of people thinking they need to pick up their money from their investments will not be necessary, as stability will be coming. So yes, if it needs to be enhanced, it will, but I think in Jamaica it was not even taken up at all, even though it brought a sense of confidence to the market. So we expect that. And the key issue about returns on our investment is really in the end macro stability. And that is what we are seeking to achieve, so that we can work together through this. I think the other question on the revenue measures, certainly we all experience the devastating impact of Parliament not approving our measures on time, and the resistance that occurred. We pray that with this work that the executive have done to bring the SLA so quickly to us, we'll also contribute a bit to make sure that we're on the same page and continue with the sense of stability and confidence that is emerging. So that's that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Minister. So we'll take one last round of questions, and then we'll close this. That's if we have any questions at all. Oh, we do have questions. Just people who haven't gotten the opportunity to ask questions yet. Yes, you. I'm trying to see those in the back. They also, so they can get opportunity. Gentleman in the back, and then Maxwell. Yes. No, gentleman in the white, and then yes, you can also. So we have 4 questions. Thanks.
All right.
Please, name, affiliation. Please keep it to one question.
All right. My name is Mark Byron with UTV. My question goes to the Minister. The issue of fiscal discipline is a major concern for Ghanaians. For them, mostly they think the government has not been good at using the state's money. This $3 billion that is coming, what is the assurance that, just as you are saying, is going to turn the economy around? Are we assured of this? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next person.
Thank you. My name is Alfredo Kanse. I work with Media General. I want to find out from the minister why the various stakeholders were not engaged before this debt exchange program was launched. That's one of their major concerns. Why this was a surprise to them, first of all. So now that you're going back to them to now consult them after the announcement, how sure are you that they're going to support this? And why are individual bondholders exempted from this program? I want to find out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next person.
Hello, my name is Maxwell Adumbile from Graphic. I don't know if the question on when the external debt restructuring will commence, whether the answer skipped me or the answer wasn't given. If you can clarify that, Minister. And then on the issue of the Stability Fund, I want to get a comment of or the position of the fund on it. And then once the World Bank is here, they can tell us what they think of it and if they have any commitment to make. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So just an add-on to his question about the external debt. We're asking what form would the external debt restructuring take? We want to have an answer to that. And again, my friend asked the question, but we didn't get an answer. This will be the 17th time Ghana is coming to the IMF. Why is it that anytime you leave us, we are not able to walk on our own? We have to come back to you for the same things you helped us get out of. Why isn't the fund worried about why we quickly run back to you when you leave us to walk on our own?
All right, thank you very much. So I think let's start with that question since you didn't get the answer the first time. So Stefan, if you could start with what's different about this program and then also talk about the other issues. Thanks.
Thank you. So I think, throughout the past 6 months, our engagement with various stakeholders, civil society and others, and with the government also, it was very clear that one of the objectives of this program should be to make the economy more resilient to shocks. Yeah? Because the solution to what you are raising here of the recurrence of IMF programs, the way to deal with this is just to make sure that the economy becomes more resilient. And it is certainly a key objective of the program, and how that would be achieved under the program is by implementing reforms that aim at tackling the underlying structural weaknesses that make the economy less resilient to shock. So this is really a key objective of the program, and this is why I referred to at the beginning in my introductory remarks to a wide-ranging reform program. Just a quick comment. I believe there was a question addressed to us on the Financial Stability Fund and our views on this. We are very supportive of the initiative, of course. The more safety nets there are to preserve financial stability, the better. And so we think it is a very good initiative. And I would like to take that opportunity actually to encourage partners to support the government of Ghana in this endeavor. But another aspect that is important, also related to a previous question, is that this is not the only tool to deal with financial stability, preserve financial stability, and bolster confidence. The regulators also have at their disposal a number of tools that can be deployed, and I would refer you to the statement that the Bank of Ghana has issued last week in this respect. And we are also very supportive of all of these initiatives and policies that are being put in place to mitigate the impact of the domestic debt exchange.
All right, thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your questions. I think they are pretty fundamental questions as to where we are going as a nation, and to, in a sense, also remember the past, what we have been able to do successfully. So, yes, let us remember that we were in a fund program from 2015, and we successfully got out of it. Let us also remember that through that period until COVID, we were on a trajectory that was very impressive. Let us also remember that we, more than most countries during the COVID period, kept lives and livelihoods above all, and really came out of that historic or pandemic event much stronger than most in which we although had growth. So yes, we've been met with this situation that we then have to find our way out of, and that is where we've gone for support. But as Stefan mentioned, there are some structural things that need to be done in terms of diversification, in terms of reliance on imports, and therefore become an export-driven entrepreneurial society. So I think last week, Friday, if you watched the media, actually went to launch a 10,000 hectare rice production and agriculture project of our export enclave, following the president's charge that we should become self-sufficient and actually even export these products like poultry, rice, tomatoes, maize, etc. So that diversification is important to strengthen our currency and stop importing foods of that nature. That then changes the way in which we move forward. And those are the assurances that we give. Certainly, the relationship with the fund, comes with it certain prior actions and reforms that we must do, which will support our movement towards better governance and expenditure controls that we have. So that's assurance that we should get out of this and not return to that old ways that we have had. The question on the external discussions, really, as I mentioned, we have started conversations, and we really will look to kick off strongly this week, both the bilaterals and the external bond investors. So the 17th time, we pray that this will be the last, and that is why the program is going to be that strong. So, I mean, for me, the experience that we had gone through since 2017 leaves me no doubt that we can go over this problem that we have and actually institute a strong, resilient economy that is diversified and export-oriented, and that is the goal. So the other part of this whole program is now the PCPEC program, which is looking to get substantial investments to get a private sector-oriented economy that is then diversified and supports our currency in a strong way. So that really is the assurance that we will commit to, that government intends to follow through. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister Stefan. So I think we can bring this press conference to a close. But before we do that, just want to check whether we have any last comments before we go. Okay. So really, thank you very much, Minister Oforiatta, Deputy Governor. Thank you very much for having us, and thank you very much to the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana for helping organize this, and also to the journalists here online and then also in person. I will now turn it over to Minister Opon Nkrumah to close this. Thank you.
Yeah, Kwabena, thank you. I saw a lot of people online asking who is the gentleman moderating. His name is Kwabena Ekuya. He's Ghanaian, but he works with the fund. And today he's done us the honors. Not much to say, Minister, except to recap the 6 major points that you've been making, yourself and Stefan have been making throughout this morning's engagement. Number 1, the fact that almost 6 months after the initial announcement, we now have secured an SLA with the IMF. Number 2, the fact that this agreement, this SLA, is based on Ghana's PCPEG, Ghana's program. And for colleagues in the media, you recall on the 1st of July when we issued the statement, we said that Ghana had an enhanced domestic program it had drafted, and it was seeking to engage the fund for support of that program. And today, as you have heard, this program is based, or this agreement is based on this program of Ghana. And that's why Stefan keeps making the point that the program is a sovereign program with its own sovereign indicators. They are in to provide some support. And if you read the second paragraph of the IMF statement, they describe it as a strong reform program. I encourage you to read and share the statement with your audiences. Number 3, Minister makes the point that this is not the end of the road. A lot more work needs to be done, but it will require the same speed, seriousness, and collaboration that has enabled what has happened in the first 6 months to continue and to get to the end. And number 4, I want to stress this as a 4th point. Minister and Stefan both make the point that all hands are required on deck so that the things that need to be achieved, i.e. the prior actions, can be successful for us to get a successful board meeting eventually. That includes the revenue measures, the debt operations, the expenditure rationalization efforts that are being talked about. But colleagues in the media, just like you have done with us and for us in times past, you need to help encourage the country for all hands to be on deck so that we can succeed together. And finally, if I got it right, Minister, as we are talking about stability and restored growth, these are the things that we all have to do together so that we can achieve that stability and restored growth. Minister, I don't know if I've captured it well for you.
I think you have. That's your job. But truly, I mean, in conclusion, you know, we are committed to doing this 24/7. We are committed to ensuring that we put Ghana in a strong place, and we are confident that the Lord will lead us to that successful conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Wish you all the best.